Welcome to Champ Week, presented by Principal. And welcome to Sprint Center. It is the Big 12 Championship, and there's nothing like all of the teams in the league gathering in Kansas City for the first of four today, TCU and Kansas State. Welcome to the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship. It's already been a fun tournament. Last night, the play-in games, and Oklahoma State continues to roll. They win the 8-9 version of Bedlam last night by 11, and Texas, without Mo Bamba, found a way to get by Iowa State. They advance to the first of four games today. We will begin with Kansas State and TCU, and what a year it's been in the Big 12. 14 consecutive titles. They keep on rolling in Lawrence, a record for Kansas. Joe Lunardi has 8 and maybe even 9 out of the 10 teams in the tournament field, depending on what happens today. And Trae Young's historic season, at least in terms of the Big 12, is now over. We'll see what happens on Selection Sunday to OU. Hi again, everyone. Bob Wischusen here with Fran Fraschilla. Holly Rowe will join us in just a minute. It's been that kind of year, hasn't it, in the Big 12? Who would have ever thought that a team as the 8 seed would sweep the 1 seed, have a very good chance to beat them today? That's the second of our doubleheader when Oklahoma State takes on Kansas, and that's really emblematic of this year in the Big 12. Absolutely. The story of the year has been the deepest, best conference in college basketball. 90% of the teams still alive for an NCAA bid. How about, as we start things today with TCU and Kansas State, the year that Jamie Dixon has put together with Kenrich Williams at TCU. It's a season of firsts. Absolutely. A lot of purple in here, by the way, Bob. And Jamie Dixon returning home to TCU, where he was a star back in the mid-'80s, and he's got this team in the NCAA tournament. And Bruce Weber, a team of underclassmen, is also going to be back in the dance, and Holly's got more. And Holly, he's got a star in Dean Wade.
That's right. Dean Wade had shown us for 2 years glimpses of what he could be. This superstar talent, but just couldn't put things together consistently. But then he sat down with his head coach, Bruce Weber, and got a talking to.
Coach Weber kind of sat me down and said, you're a really good player. There's no reason for you not to be confident in yourself. If you're not confident in yourself, no one else will be. So, it all starts with me being confident in myself. And, ever since I've been doing that, I've been playing a lot better.
Him consistently believing that he can impact games, whether he's scoring or not, has made him a consistent scorer. In fact, since December 20th, he has scored in double figures every single game. Dean Wade just scratching the surface of what he can be, and rewarded with first team All Big 12 because of his consistency this season.
If you follow the Big 12, there was no question that the 4 big point guards in the league were going to be first team All-League. But Dean Wade made a tremendous case and was rewarded by the voters to be that 5th member of the first team All Big 12 squad, Fran, deservingly so, as he put up 11 20-plus point scoring games in Big 12 play, averaged nearly 19 a game. That was the voting from the coaches in this league, which I think says a lot about what people think of him and how good a player he can be, not only in this tournament, but next year, his senior year as well. And if folks haven't followed the Big 12 all season, might not be familiar with Kansas State and TCU, this seems to be one of those matchups where, with 2 minutes to go in the game, if it's not a 1 or 2 possession game, we'd probably be surprised. Both of these teams built the same way. Good, aggressive man-to-man defense. Xavier Sneed gets Kansas State off to the quick start. Robinson sets up Kenrich Williams, and we're tied early. That's something Bob Kenrich Williams has added to his game this year. He has been known as a feisty defender, excellent rebounder. Sneed, nice look underneath. What a find as McCall Mayween rolled to the goal. I'll tell you a guy who's done a terrific job for TCU, Alex Robinson. Remember, they lost the co-point guard, Jalen Fisher, early in the year, and the lefty has been outstanding running his team. Bain underneath the Brodzianski. You know, both of these teams lost a critical backcourt piece. Not only Jalen Fisher going down for the year for TCU, but returning just recently, obviously in February, was Kamal Stokes. Cartier Jada has the ball, and he's been the starting point guard ever since Stokes broke his foot back in early January and missed a month as Jada tries one from the corner. That's off the mark. But how about the job both coaches did working around the absences of those two important guards?
Crisis management coordinators, and that's what you have to do during a long season. And just about every team in this league has had to deal with those kind of injuries.
Kwatnoy spots up in the corner. Yes.
Boy, you talk about a future star, that young man, catch and shoot. He's got real estate in both corners, Bob. Loves that corner three.
Mayween, great post position.
He's given them an offensive boost, Mayween. Only averaging 6 points a game. He's got 4.
Robinson will drive it, and that's blocked by Mayween, but cleaned up by Brodzianski.
Good flow already. Both teams into their offense. Good execution.
Wade creates space.
And there's an example of what Holly talked about. In his freshman year, Bob, the coaching staff told him, you don't realize how good a player you can be. And gradually each year, he's gained more and more confidence.
Each team 4 for their first 5 from the field. Brodzianski through a double team.
Well, Mayween wants to front Brodzianski, but that was a really good post feed. Good position up the lane.
Wade again in the post. This time kicks it back up top. Sneed. That hit the backboard first. Desmond Bain out to Kenrich Williams.
You see Mayween is trying to front, and there's that backside help, and that leaves Bain open.
Bain with a scoop, hit the underside of the backboard. Here comes Jada. Cartier Jada to the goal.
Remember, this young man had knee surgery last year, so he's still a freshman. But Bob, his vertical increased during his rehab. He's up to 44 inches, one of the best young athletes in this conference.
Bain, terrific three-point shooter. That one, though, well off the mark. Wade fades away. And here comes Kwatnoy. Bain goes right at Dean Wade. Wade with good hands to knock it away, and it's out of bounds. Off Bain. A 1-point early lead for TCU.
Two versatile big guys who can play inside and out. First for Kansas State, Dean Wade. Little step back move, softly done. And then the young man from Slovakia scoring inside. Vladimir getting it done.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball. State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800 State Farm. And the Capital One Venture Card. Earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day. What's in your wallet?
TCU point guard Jalen Fisher was off to a great start this season, leading his team, and they were red hot, 13-2 to start the season, a school record. But then he was injured January 16th, a meniscus tear during practice. He has had surgery. He is off crutches and moving around well. I saw him putting up just a couple of shots yesterday. He's expected to be back in about 4 months. But Jalen, ahead of schedule in his recovery, said he's got good spirits. He's still a big part of this team and coaching on the bench when he gets a chance.
Yeah, and Alex Robinson, Holly, has been consistently in the high 30s, so he's had to shoulder the load and done a really good job, especially at staying out of foul trouble, Bob.
And now Kamau Stokes in for the first time for K-State. So that is another big injury that affected a team's season as the shot clock winds down to 3. Barry Brown, through traffic, is fouled on the floor. That'll go against J.D. Miller. It hasn't been smooth sailing for Bruce Weber since he got Kamau Stokes back, though. They've settled into a rhythm with Cartier Jada at point guard. What's the challenge for a coach when you get a star back? You want to ingratiate him into the rotation.
Yeah,
Snead rolls one to the rim, but at the same time, you can't disrupt the rhythm you've developed.
Well, and the issue is, quite honestly, Cartier Jada has not played quite as well since Stokes has been back either, but they're still winning games. I think it's a good problem to have it because of the depth, and now you've got 2 experienced point guards, and we see how important that is over the course of a season.
Traveling called on Stokes.
Yeah, and I don't think Cam has really, I don't think he's had played a game where he was at his best since the injury, and at the same time he is healthy, and so you're trying to get him back in the lineup, and you look at Bill Self and now Jamie Dixon only having 1 point guard. Still rather have 2, but they both got to play a little bit better.
Kenrich Williams, short.
And you think of the human psychology of Kamau Stokes sitting on the bench injured, watching a young redshirt freshman come in and take his job. And, you know, he was anxious when he came back. Bruce Weber actually had to sit him down and say, look, you're pressing, you're going too fast. You don't have to get back those 7 games you missed all in your first appearance back. Calm down and just play the game. It's going to come to you. And Fran, as you said, it's a great problem to have. He's now got depth at that point guard position.
Stripped away from Ahmed Hamdi. It will stay with TCU. And Kamau Stokes only shooting 23% and averaging about 3.5 points a game since returning earlier in February. He's been back for 9 games. And as you said, Jada's production has gone down a bit as well.
Exactly. And Cartier really came out of nowhere. He had a big game at Kansas in the game they almost won. There's a foul.
That's going to go on Stokes.
Kamau Stokes played in the same high school backcourt as West Virginia's Daxter Miles at Dunbar High School in Baltimore. They won a city title there.
Jada back in for Barry Brown, so now Stokes and Jada, the 2 point guards, both on the floor for K-State. Hamdi rolls off the rim, another rebound for Wade. Wade a step back. Doesn't get the roll. Kenrich Williams got trapped in midair, gives it up to Olden. And Olden is fouled by Stokes, so Kamau Stokes picks up his 2nd.
So we mentioned that this is a 4-5 game, both teams 10-8, but think about it, Bob. You've got very similar teams. You have athletic wings, you have some point guards who play very well, and then the 2 big guys, Bradiansky and Wade. These teams are really similar, both built around defense, both wear purple. I mean, what else do you want? It's like an inter-squad scrimmage out here.
It's the spring game.
Yeah.
Bain down the lane, gives it to Olden in the corner. That barely draws iron. A shot clock should have reset. It grazed the rim.
Yeah, now here's the issue. Did Dean Wade touch it last, and did it go out of bounds before the horn went off? And that's what these officials are discovering right now. Had Wade realized the clock was going to go off, he would have let that ball go out of bounds. Take a look right here. Ball does graze the rim.
But the shot clock never reset.
It should be a reset, except he now loses the ball out of bounds.
And it looks like we may have our first monitor visit of the day.
Watch Dean Wade right here at the end. The ball is still in play, and he is clearly out of bounds. So I think TCU is going to get this ball back.
So it's Rick Crawford, Tom Eads over at the monitor.
Yeah, what a great first couple of years Dean Wade has had. Out of St. John, Kansas, town of about 1,000 people. You know, his high school coach was the coach of Jackie Stiles, who until last year was the women's all-time leading scorer. Coach McKinnon was the guy that coached Jackie at Claflin High School in Claflin, Kansas, just about 30 miles from St. John. Coach Kinnaman's son is on this team, Cade. Hometown hero.
Well, you nailed it. Reset of the shot clock, and TCU's got the basketball as Wade touched it before it went out.
That's one of those hustle plays that it's hard to get mad at as a coach, but you wish Dean Wade had a little more awareness.
Brodzianski. That is a brick, as both teams had missed their last 5 in a row, now make it 6 in a row for TCU after they both got off to a great start. That's high percentage. Great look from Barry Brown as he was able to set up Levi Stockard.
And Stockard has given him good minutes, the freshman out of St. Louis. Remember, this is a really young Kansas State team. Every key player returns next year.
Under 12 to go. Kansas State. He's got the lead. Kansas State has the lead. And Dean Wade, a great story. The hometown kid. We'll explain when we come back.
And I'm from St. John, Kansas.
Dean is not just an awesome basketball player. He's an all-around good guy. And when he comes back around, everybody knows Dean's in town.
We have his name underlined because all the kids want to compare themselves to Dean Wade. Dean is so gracious to come back and sign stuff for all the kids. He's somebody everybody looks up to, all the kids look up to, and they all want to be him.
Everyone's watching you. You know everyone knows you. It's made me the person I am today.
Well, Dean is from tiny St. John, Kansas, and a big thanks to his mom, Trish. I mailed her a camera, and she got all those great shots, but my very favorite from that was Danny Smith was his 5th grade science and math teacher. When he was in 5th grade, they put a mark on the door. He was 5'4", and by the end of 6th grade, he had grown to 5'9", so 5-inch growth spurt. But how cute is it that Dean Wade's name is still on the door? They underline it because all the kids want to go in and measure that. But a huge thank you to Trish, his mom. She has filmed all of St. John, Kansas for me. I'll post a longer piece on digital later today.
Holly, can you take me to St. John so I can measure my height on that door?
I promise, Fran.
Okay.
If you, I know I'm not taller than Dean in 5th grade.
How many 5th graders do you think you'd measure up to?
It's the under for sure.
Reverse for Stockard.
You know, it's interesting because there are some K-State fans that complain about Bruce Weber's recruiting. He's the first in-state player that Bruce Weber recruited, and he's really the poster boy for what Kansas State basketball should be. You can't get anybody better than that.
Noy along the baseline. Nice feed from Brodzianski. Well, there's certainly something to be said for not forgetting where you came from. And you can tell Wade is the kind of guy, when you start to think about where he might be playing down the road as well, he's sitting across from an NBA talent evaluator, and that guy can go back to the general manager and say, you know what, that's a good kid.
Nowadays in the NBA, character is so important, and he'll test the waters after his junior year, but I would be surprised if he's not back his senior year. And this entire team, as I mentioned earlier, is going to be very salty a year from now.
Noy off the mark. Nice rebound by Stockard. Barry Brown, coast to coast, but missed the layup. Nice step in by Snead.
Yeah, absolutely. They do a good job, Kansas State, of trying to get around Brodzianski, and they did right there.
Wainwright with a floater, so Ahmad Wainwright gets on the board. He stuffs the stat sheet like his brother Ish once did at Baylor.
And a hometown hero, grew up right here in Kansas City. JUCO transfer who is just like his brother, he's a glue guy.
Nice read by Sneed. Brown again pushes, again, right at the front of the rim, can't finish. Kenrich Williams hangs, uses the glass, plus the foul.
What a player this guy has turned out to be. Kenrich Williams out of Waco, Texas, was not recruited out of high school. He goes to junior college in New Mexico, and he's been in this program for 4 years, missed a year because of knee surgery, but really the heart and soul, Bob, of this TCU team. Remember, it was a year ago that he was the MVP of the NIT. We saw him in New York, and what a great springboard into this season.
And that same type of kid where if you're sitting across the table from him as you would from Dean Wade, you're coming away with all those big character check marks that you want to see, because to go 618 days without playing college basketball at one point, and then to come back and put up the numbers he did last season, 19 double-doubles, and go from not playing to being second-team all-league, very impressive.
Yeah, and we've seen how much his offense has improved in that time as well.
Blocking foul call, and that's going to go on Sean Olden. The New York Life ACC tournament continuing in Brooklyn. #1 team in America, not just the #1 seed. Virginia up on Louisville at halftime. Clemson, Boston College will follow. Miami, North Carolina, a very interesting game. And can Notre Dame, now that they've got Bonzi back, make it to the NCAA tournament?
Mike Bray is pushing that narrative, no question. He said we are a top 20 team with Bonzi Colson back, and they certainly were before he was lost early in ACC play. A lot of resiliency from the Irish. That will be a big game for them against Duke.
If they've got Colson playing at a high level, and obviously Farrell healthy as well, how far can Notre Dame go?
They're one of those teams that could, we thought before the injuries could get to a Final Four, especially this year, where I think there's 25 teams that can get to the Final Four. I don't think they've played great yet with Bonzi back, but they're whole. And right now they're in the first 4 out, according to Joe Lunardi. This would be a very, very big night for them.
So Notre Dame a little bit later on tonight, and Oklahoma State, the next team in line to make the NCAA tournament field, according to Joe Lunardi, as Kenrich Williams goes to work. They play Kansas in Game 2 of our early day doubleheader here at the Big 12 Championship. That game will be coming up next. Could they actually beat KU 3 times in a single season and get themselves into the field as Maywee knocks one down?
You know, Bob, I don't know if they can, but I will say this. Kansas has led in 2 games, 30 seconds. Both of those games, the Cowboys dominated from start to finish.
And no Udoka Azubuike, of course, with the sprained MCL for KU. An emotional start, as you would expect, here to the Big 12 Championship. K-State and TCU starting the day off.
You know that feeling that you only get this time of year?
And South Carolina makes history.
Welcome back.
It's Champ Week. We're back at the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship, and Jamie Dixon has completely flipped the script since arriving in Fort Worth with TCU basketball. A season of firsts that really began when we watched them upset Kansas last year in this very tournament.
Exactly. They used that tournament win. They got to New York, and of course they were brilliant in the NIT, dominating in New York, and it was a terrific springboard for this season. And now they're about to go dancing for the first time in 20 years. You know who the coach of that TCU team was? Billy Tubbs.
Shot clock to 5. Robinson gonna have to put one up. That's off the mark.
Oh, good
save by Olden.
Nice.
And it will stay with TCU.
Yep, Sean Olden, who has been prominent since the injury to Jalen Fisher. This is just good hustle right here by the junior college transfer. He's out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Spent his first year, Bob, at Pepperdine. Why would you leave Malibu? All rookie team in the WCC, JUCO, and now a nice piece. We saw him play really well against West Virginia at home on Big Monday.
The view from your window changes a bit when you go from Pepperdine to Kansas State, but at the same time, your view from the bench changes a bit as well, where now you're on an NCAA tournament team. Here's Brodzianski with the jump hook. It's good. So Olden's save in the corner creates the extra possession for the Frogs, and they convert.
Yep, and you give Vlad a chance to go over that left shoulder with that jump hook. He's murder.
He's got 8.
Both Wade and Vlad are very efficient scorers inside.
Jada got into the passing lane. That was intended for Barry Brown.
Jamie Dixon was the point guard on the last TCU team to win a game in the NCAA tournament in 1987. They were knocked out in the second round by Notre Dame.
Brodzianski called for the foul.
Well, as soon as TCU got their 9th league win, Jamie Dixon started really trying to prime his team and mentally prepare them for being in the big dance. He said, you know, we're not going to be happy with just getting there. We're a really good team with more to give. We cannot get into the NCAA tournament, be happy to be there, and lose in the first round. He thinks they can be a team that can make a deep run, but he wants his team to feel like that and play with confidence and expectation when they do get to the big dance for the first time in 20 years.
And Bob, what's important about games like this in the Big 12 tournament is for seeding purposes. Right now, Joey Brackets has them as a 7th seed. If they were to win and get to, say, the Big 12 final, that seed goes up, your path to San Antonio in the Final Four a little easier. And in a year with balance, this is the kind of team that can be very sneaky when they get into the tournament. So Jamie Dixon knows what's at stake.
TCU had never won a postseason basketball tournament of any kind before they won the NIT last season. They've never obviously won a postseason conference tournament, as Brown lines up a 3, and that's no good.
Well, remember, he took 11 teams to the NCAA tournament at Pittsburgh, so he knows a little about of which he talks.
How about the reverse hanging and getting it to go is J.D. Miller. But how about just developing that winning mentality? Injecting that into a program where even if it is the NIT, as Wade tries one and connects, now you're thinking differently about yourself coming into this season.
Well, I think we saw that. We witnessed it firsthand because we did the NIT last year. Didn't you get that feeling that they believed they were a good team by the end of the season? Because I felt it.
Hamdi seals inside and uses the window.
And using that 7'1" wingspan as well. The graduate transfer from VCU has been a nice piece of the puzzle off the bench for TCU. Only had to change one letter. Went from V to T.
Robinson fighting with Mayween. Held ball, and it will go to TCU. That'll bring Stokes back in the game, along with Levi Stockard. Mayween will go to the bench, and Stokes will replace Yada. Robinson looking for the cutter and finds it in Hamdi.
Robinson is terrific at getting into the lane on that drive. They come up to set a ball screen, but we call it a ghost screen because the screener disappears. Where the defense thinks there's going to be a screen, there's no screen. That allows Robinson to get really deep.
And Wade lethal in that mid-range game, ties it at 24.
Robinson is really good to his left hand for obvious reasons, but good decision maker in the paint.
Wade the takeaway as J.D. Miller lost it. Wade spins, fades away, knocks another one down.
Bob, we've seen the whole arsenal from Dean Wade today. He's scoring inside. He scored at the three-point line, and that time he worked his way into the mid-range. He makes 50% of those jump shots in the mid-range. That's high.
He's up to 9, 4 for 7 from the field for Dean Wade, including a triple.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal, Investments, Retirement, Insurance, and Gatorade Thirst Quencher, the proven sports fuel.
Yeah, Chris, we're looking forward to that one as Oklahoma State is looking for the trifecta against Kansas. For the first time under Bill Self, a team swept a season series against KU, and Oklahoma State, they might be the 8th seed. They definitely have a chance to pull off the three-peat.
And a little history here today, because the last time Kansas lost 3 games in one season to a conference foe, 1982-83, the point guard of that team was a guy named Bill Self at Oklahoma State. They were the Big 8 champs that year. Went to the NCAA tournament. So if Devontae Graham has anything to say about this game, he'll be ready.
Nice cut by Kenrich Williams, and another find from Alex Robinson.
You remember when Jalen Fisher was hurt at that practice? Shortly thereafter, Alex Robinson set a Big 12 record for assists with 17 against Iowa State. He was not voted to any of the all-conference teams or honorable mention, and I think that was a mistake.
Brown goes to work, shot clock at 5. Loose ball near midcourt, stolen by Robinson. And he'll pull it back out, wait for some help.
He has become a real floor general, Alex Robinson.
Wainwright fouls Brodzianski.
And watch the good ball movement by TCU. Robinson holds on, he waits, one-hand pass. Good cut by Kenrich Williams. He watch this one-hand pass. You know, fundamental CYO basketball, 2 hands on a pass. But Steve Nash popularized the one-hand pass off the dribble because it's a much quicker pass. A-Rob got an example right there.
Williams pulls down the high pass, mid-range jumper, no good. Kwatnoy going after the loose ball, and it looks like Brodzianski has drawn another foul underneath. This time it's on Levi Stockard.
Vlad draws about 5 fouls per 40 minutes, and that speaks to not only his ability to score inside, but also be active on the glass. Doesn't look like a physical player, but he's put on about 25 pounds since he's arrived on campus.
Again plays the screen game with Robinson. Puts it on the floor, goes to the goal and scores.
Really good cat and mouse. High pick and roll that time by Robinson and Brodzianski.
Jada just a little too strong. Brodzianski, the first player in the game in double figures, grabs the rebound. Noy from the corner. Short. Good hands by Robinson.
Well, watch Big Vlad. Watch him put it on the deck. He's going to go to the rim. Watch him hang. Works around Dean Wade. Mentioned earlier, both of these guys really efficient offensive players. Skills.
Brodzianski, 58% from the field this year. 3rd best in the Big 12. 82% at the line. Knows how to score. And now Jada draws the foul on Robinson.
Yeah, and along with those numbers, he's over 60 inside the lane. So He can score from the outside, mid-range, close by. This is about the type of game we expected, Bob, from a 4-5 matchup.
Neither team is led by more than 3. Under a minute to go in the half. Jada gives it up. Mayween throws it down.
Good decision by Jara, and Brodzianski helped up. When you help up off the baseline, you expose the baseline, and a good drop-off to Mayween.
Robinson steps back. Yes, along 2. Shot clock turned off. Barry Brown with his team down 2. 8 to shoot, and now Bruce Weber will spend time out. So we'll step aside as well for 30 seconds and come right back with the last 9. Welcome back to Kansas City here at Sprint Center, the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship. This is the first of a quadruple header today on ESPN2. It'll be Kansas and Oklahoma State, the second half of the early doubleheader, and 2-point game between TCU and Kansas State. Bob Wischusen here with Fran Fraschilla and Holly Rowe. What else would you expect from this league this season? What a good basketball game.
Exactly, and Bob, with 9 seconds to go now and some bench players for TCU, they have a foul to give, and Jamie Dixon, I just saw him give the foul signal. So if I'm a starter, if I'm Williams, I don't foul, but let's see if they give one here.
Bain will give it on Brown.
Yeah,
down to 6 seconds to go in the first half.
I'm not sure that if I had a starter out there like Bain that I would give one, but Jamie Dixon felt it was good to disrupt the play call out of the timeout by K-State.
Only the first on Bain. Snead. Yes! Down to 3 seconds to go in the half. Here comes Kenrich Williams. Doesn't get it off. So we're deadlocked at 30. What else would you expect between TCU and Kansas State at halftime?
Just like we drew it up, and both teams fairly efficient, but they're also locked into the scouting reports.
Let's go over to Holly.
Well, Coach Dixon, your team is not used to having a day off here, having a bye in the first round. How do you think they've come out ready to play here?
Well, we played good offense. I thought we'd be a little better, but they're a good team. They're a good defensive team. Got to get the ball inside. They're being really physical inside on Vlad, so obviously pushing him around. But we got to continue to go inside and play through him.
You made the decision to foul there. Were you pleased with the results?
Well, they made the basket, so you tell me, Holly.
Thanks, Coach.
Tied at halftime. We've got the law firm back in the studio with the halftime report of Cotter, Crean, and Cuff as we are beginning a day of 4 basketball games here in Kansas City at the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship. Chris Cotter, back to you. Welcome back to Champ Week, presented by Principal. And welcome back to Kansas City, the Big 12 Championship. And it is always a treat to be here with all the Big 12 fans. If you're a college basketball fan, not even just a Big 12 fan, you should make plans to come to the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship. The games are great. The setting outside the Sprint Center is great as well. We're off to a great start. The first of 4, TCU and Kansas State deadlocked at 30, set for the second half. Bob Wischusen, Fran Fraschilla, Holly Rowe here. You're always looking for your stars to rise to the occasion on the biggest stage. We saw that in the first half. Vlad Brodzianski, tremendous for TCU. First team All-League Dean Wade playing like it.
Yeah, he's so efficient from all areas of the court, and I think that's what makes him such a confident player as a junior.
Coach Weber kind of sat me down and said, you're a really good player. There's no reason for you not to be confident in yourself. If you're not confident in yourself, no one else will be. So, it all starts with me being confident in myself. And, ever since I've been doing that, I've been playing a lot better.
And when you look at Dean Wade's game, Bob, the thing that's really impressive is he's equally effective inside in the paint, out on the three-point line, and we've seen him work his way to the middle as well. I mentioned earlier he shoots 50% of his 2-point jump shots, 40% from 3, makes his free throws, scores inside. That's efficiency.
Wade looking inside, takes it into 2-point land, back outside to Jada with 5 to shoot, to the corner to Sneed. He gives it up, and Mayween still hasn't missed. He's 5 for 5 from the field.
And how good was that ball movement? Side to side, stretch the defense. Good decision making in the lane under duress.
Again, the screen game between Robinson and Brodzianski. Kenrich Williams gets a step, leans in, and scores.
And did you notice how Alex Robinson played that game in slow motion? Got into the lane, stopped, took his time, looked around, found Kenrich Williams. Barry Brown doesn't have a field goal, Bob, but they really haven't missed his scoring to this point.
He's 0 for 3 from the field, and that's the one star player in the game that really hasn't been involved yet. See if he gets going here. He'll go to the goal, and this time lays it in. Missed a couple of layups in the first half and looked frustrated, didn't miss there. This game could take on a whole different dynamic if Barry Brown gets going. Robinson fouled.
Well, the first 2 possessions of the game offensively for Kansas State underline exactly what Bruce Weber told his team at halftime in the locker room, is the ball movement has to be better. In the first possession, all 5 players touched the ball, and they got a great look with Mayween finally finishing things off. So they did what he asked them to do. But secondly, they've got to do a better job on defense against TCU with paint points. They were outscored 22-14 in the paint, and Coach Weber said it was really because we're out there trying to help on Alex Robinson, but he's so nifty at making the quick paint pass that we've got to do a better job getting back to our man inside.
Well, TCU is the #1 team in the Big 12 in paint points. They average about 39 points in the paint per game. Conversely, #2 in the Big 12 defending the paint this season was Kansas State. So that's one of those something's got to give statistics we'll keep our eyes on here in the second half as Barry Brown carries the ball.
Yeah, TCU is the best offensive team inside of Big 12 play this year, Bob, because of your point. They score inside, they also make threes, and they do a great job on the offensive glass.
Great ball movement as well. They're #2 in America coming into this Big 12 tournament at nearly 19 team assists per game.
A lot of that is because of Alex Robinson. He plays the game at a great pace. It's hard to speed him up.
Kenrich Williams got caught in midair, and Brodzianski bails him out. Now Williams able to roll to the goal and finger roll it in.
That looked like a subway platform at 42nd Street because there was a lot of traffic in there. And Big Vlad just dumped it off nicely to Kenrich Williams, who looked like he was in a little bit of trouble.
I was trying to get on the 7 train out to a Met game. I want one of those guys setting a screen for me to wedge myself in. Those would be good guys to have on the subway platform with you.
Well, they dump it off to you, but it's not a basketball.
You'd be up getting a pretzel. We wouldn't even know where you were. Sneed goes back door, draws a foul. That's going to go on Quat Noy.
You know, there's a segment of the Kansas State fan base that is not happy with Bruce Weber. And there was a writer asked me yesterday that he was going to do a story on Bruce. And I said, before you want quotes from me, you need to know the coaching profession thinks he's a really good coach. And then the other thing is, the 3 letters you will never hear in connection with his name, FBI. He runs a clean program. His kids overachieve. He's got everybody coming back. And the coaching community scratches their head. Do they remember Jim Woolridge? Do they remember that they lost Lon Kruger, their favorite son, to Florida? Do they remember they ran off Dana Altman, who's had pretty good success since he left Kansas State? This guy is a good basketball coach.
That sounds like that should have been the quote. If I was the writer, I would have written all that down and published it.
Bruce Weber always has his teams prepared.
Brodzianski spins baseline. A little too strong. Tipped back, though, by Brodzianski after Kenrich Williams got a hand on it to keep it alive. And here's Robinson. Another foul called on Kansas State. This one's going to go against Maywee. That's his first.
Well, people forget Kansas State has great basketball tradition. When you go back to the days of guys like Tex Winter, Cotton Fitzsimmons coach there, Jack Gardner, Hall of Famers all. But not an easy place to recruit to.
Kenrich Williams knocks down a three.
Well, that's not a surprise. He knocked down 40% of his threes this year. And when he arrived at TCU 4 years ago, he was more of an energy guy, more of an inside player, but he's become a versatile scorer.
Sneed. That's no good. This is the largest lead for either team to this point in the game. 4 points for TCU. Looking to add to it. Robinson hooks a pass back to Brodzianski. Now Robinson tries a three. He's got it. TCU extends the lead. A little over 4 minutes gone by in the second half of the opener between TCU and Kansas State.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal, Investments, Retirement, Insurance.
TCU's had terrific ball movement to start the second half, and in part because of the play of Alex Robinson, their outstanding junior point guard, and got this lead up a little bit. And there's a little basketball in this young man's background. Holly Rowe.
Right, he grew up in Fort Worth, but out of high school, he went to Texas A&M. As he was redshirting there due to injury, he was involved with friends who were driving ahead of him in a car when their car veered off the road and hit a tree. 2 of his best friends were killed in that accident. He went through clinical depression, a horrible time following that tragedy. He came home back to TCU, back to Fort Worth to be closer to his family and his mother, Darla. Overcoming that tragedy has made him a much stronger young man, but being here at TCU in Fort Worth with his family has reconnected him and made him one of the best players we've seen in the Big 12 this season, overcoming adversity and being back home.
12 flashback brought to you by Phillips 66. Robinson to the corner. Baines shots blocked, but a foul called. 2.5 seconds to go. There's the home run ball. Lucas with the catch, taps it to Graham. He's got a look. Yep. Just off the mark. TCU upsets Kansas. And they would go on to win the NIT. That would be the first postseason basketball tournament win in school history. Now they're an NCAA tournament team, no doubt about it this year. Bob Wischusen here with Fran Fraschilla and Holly Rowe, watching some of these programs come of age. And Jamie Dixon's just done a great job in Fort Worth as Barry Brown gives it up to Kamau Stokes.
This is a gold mine situation in Fort Worth, Bob. Remember, it was Gary Patterson's football success that brought TCU into the Big 12. And once they went to the Big 12, refurbished their arena, and you look at the Dallas-Fort Worth area for high school recruiting, this became an easy choice for Jamie to leave Pitt and head home.
Robinson, no one protects the goal, and he lays it in.
You can see right there as he comes off a screen, he's creating indecision, but the slower the better for Alex Robinson. It allows you to read and be under control. Perfect example right there.
Well, Fran, you said the assist to Gary Patterson at TCU, and he's already direct messaged me on Twitter. He's home watching this game right now. Hi, Coach. He wanted to let me know he loved our story on Dean Wade from St. John, Kansas, because he is from about 45 minutes away in Roselle, Kansas. So Coach Patterson with some love of small-town Kansas. Some good coaches coming out of that area.
That's right, Holly. He's a former Pittsburgh State Gorilla, if I'm not mistaken. coach there.
Everyone texts Holly. Nobody texts me. Once in a while, my kids text me like little emojis. That's about all I get. Robinson looking for Brodzianski to roll towards the goal, but Vlad turned his head thinking that was going to be a shot. So a rare miscommunication between those two.
When you think of that Central Kansas, you think of Bruce Weber and Gene Cady, who grew up in Larned, Kansas, not far from St. John. Gene, of course, was a Kansas State football player. Bruce learned under Gene. A lot of Kansas, Western Kansas connections today.
Barry Brown looking at a double team, and the shot clock winding down. Gets back his own Karam. 5 to shoot. Brown penetrates, and he'll go to the line. Still frustrated, though, that he can't finish at the rim.
Barry Brown's one of those guys on this Kansas roster a long way from home. St. Petersburg. Dad was an outstanding player at Jacksonville. You know, his AAU team had a guy named Ben Simmons on it.
I've heard of him.
Pretty good player.
He's not bad. It has not been Barry Brown's day. Wade stuck on 9 points. Brown with only 1 field goal. And as a result, his lead's starting to get away a little bit from K-State. Is that also an Achilles heel somewhat for Bruce Weber's team, that they're a little top-heavy with Brown and Wade, and the supporting cast might not be able to pick up the load if those two are off?
Yeah, I think so.
Even if one of those two is off.
Right. First 27 minutes. Barry Brown's been slow, but we've seen him this year go crazy in the final 10 minutes of games.
He can light it up. Those were the first free throws of the day for K-State as Hamdi misses right at the rim, bothered from behind. And here's Brown, coast to coast. Again with the left hand, can't hit, but Sneed with a chance on the tip follow.
Xavier Sneed, who for long periods of time this year, his energy and hustle was based on making outside shots, but he's become more of an energy guy, and watch him follow on the backside with the one-hand tip in.
It looked as if Jerry Pollard was going to ring up an and one for Xavier Sneed, but now he's having a conversation with Tom Eads over by the monitor. Bruce Weber is protesting. This has a chance to be a big momentum-changing play in this game. An and one play that could cut the lead down, but they're going to go to the monitor and check something out. They're sticking with the call. It is an and one. So Sneed will shoot the bonus. And the foul will be on Desmond Bain. That's his second.
Let's take a look. Didn't see much right here. Watch Bain just shoving the back. Nothing. That probably didn't even warrant a monitor review, but it was a quick monitor review. So that's good news.
So a chance to make it a 3-point game. Xavier Sneed can run hot and cold as well. 18 games in double figures. But the last 2 games of the regular season, 5 points total in those 2 games. 0 for 5 from 3, only 2 field goals. The last couple of K-State games heading into this Big 12 championship.
What I like about him, Bob, how about this? He's had a steal in 15 of the last 18, which means he's given you the effort on both ends of the floor. Early in the year, it was no jump shot, no hustle, no D. He is a energy guy, regardless of whether that ball goes in the basket. That's where he's improved his team.
Robinson, yes for 3.
I'll tell you, those are big because this guy only shoots about 33% on the season, and he's knocked down 3 today. So Robinson giving you the playmaking and the scoring.
Wade's been quiet in the second half, and he has his pocket picked by Kenrich Williams. Williams for three. Way short. Here comes Brown on a run out. Snead the trailer. Long rebound. Stokes gets to the goal.
Now that looks like the old Cam Stokes right there. Little juice.
Robinson, heat check. He stays high. Another three for Alex Robinson.
That was not in the scouting report. Bruce Weber turned and looked at his staff. A-Rob comes in today shooting 33%. He had 20 on the season. He's got 4 in about 30 minutes.
Snead with a shot fake, sets up Wade for the answer. Yes.
It's at the point now, Bob, when he misses, it's a surprise when he's open.
Robinson this time misses the bunny. He scored the last 11 for TCU. Snead from the corner. Fouled in the corner by Brodzianski, says Jerry Pollard. Brodzianski can't believe it. 3 free throws for Snead when we come back, but Robinson's putting on a show.
Absolutely, not just the playmaking. Long range, bomber, knocking it in.
So 1-1 seed, no doubt about it, 1 seed certainly in Virginia in action. And coming up in our next game, game 2 of 4 today in the Big 12 Championship, we'll have Kansas that right now is that last 1 seed, according to Joe Lunardi. If Oklahoma State can pull off the triple and beat them for the 3rd time this year, not only would Oklahoma State be in the field, according to Joe, they would advance to take on the winner of this game. And almost certainly Kansas would drop off the 1 line.
It seems that way, and keep in mind that if Kansas were a 1 seed, the road to San Antonio would go through Wichita and Omaha, both relatively easy places for Jayhawk fans to get to, although last year that didn't help them, Bob, when they lost to Oregon right here in this building in the regional final.
Well, guys, I know that the NCAA selection committee looks at injuries, so I'm just curious what you guys think the injury to Udoka Azubuike will do to their decision where to put Kansas. He has said he's likely to come back and play next week with the grade 1 MCL sprain, but will he be at full strength? I just wonder what the committee will make of that injury. I'm curious what you guys think.
Yep, and Holly, I think if Kansas wins the Big 12 tournament, they will definitely, obviously, be a 1 seed. And anything short of that, I think they're going to go to the 2 line. I really do. And I don't think Bill Self cares one bit.
Brodzianski straight away. Long rebound. Most likely to be replaced by maybe Duke or Carolina, whichever goes further in the ACC tournament.
Exactly. Villanova has had some injuries. It looks like they're going to keep them on the 1 line, although if they go out early, that could change.
Snead, after making only 1 of those 3 free throws, misses from in close. And TCU maintains their lead.
Put the bigger Xavier Snead on Robinson right now.
Maywade saves it, and Wade dribbles it out of trouble.
Oh, he had Maywade inside. Stokes just missed him.
Brown's got Williams caught on a switch. Wade instead posts up Noy. Out of the double team. Brown down the lane, but fouled on a reach in by Robinson. Well, again, this is the first quarterfinal game, and it's a terrific day of games all day long here from Kansas City on ESPN2. The 1 seed Kansas without Azubuike taking on a team they've lost twice to in Oklahoma State. Then later on tonight, West Virginia and Baylor, the nightcap, Texas Tech and Texas. We'll see if Mo Bamba can maybe get into the game tonight, as he is continually referred to as day-to-day for Texas.
And for Oklahoma State, they now have 6 quadrant 1 wins, which are really the top quality wins that the committee will evaluate. How about this? 4 wins against the top 10 AP poll and 6 versus the top 25. That's a pretty good start of a resume. They played a non-conference schedule where teams like Charlotte and Pittsburgh were down. Lost a close game at Arkansas.
Bain bullets a pass into Williams. He was challenged by Mayween, but the second effort for Kenrich Williams. You know, for folks that might not be familiar, what is a quadrant 1 win, and do you buy the way that it seems like now moving forward the NCAA committee is going to look at things?
It's one more piece of analytics. What they do is they reward you for wins over not only top 50 opponents, but also whether you get more credit for wins on the road and neutral sites. And it's another piece of numbers, but to me, it's ears, eyes, numbers.
Mayween, shot clock winding down, lost to Robinson.
Bob, my eyes tell me Oklahoma State is an NCAA tournament team.
Robinson turns it right back over. Stokes poked it away, and now Kenrich Williams fouls Mayween. 6-point lead for TCU, fighting for the right to take on either Oklahoma State or KU in the semifinals.
You know that feeling that you only get this time of year?
And South Carolina makes history.
Welcome back.
We will crown a champion in the Big 12 championship right here in Kansas City. Great scene with all the KU fans waiting to come in the Power and Light District. And then if you want to hop in your car and make the ride from Sprint Center down to Scott Trade Center, about 250 miles to St. Louis, why not go check out the SEC tournament?
Yep, and a lot of NBA scouts who were here last night to watch Trae Young, and they thought they were going to watch Mo Bamba. When they found out Michael Porter Jr. was going to play in his second game of the season for Missouri, they hopped on I-70 and headed to St. Louis this morning.
And as we take a look at the bracket for the SEC tournament, Auburn has to be one of the surprises all season long, along with Tennessee. Those are 2 teams that really came out of nowhere in that league, and both look like they could be big-time March Madness threats.
Absolutely. Rick Barnes' team was picked 13th in the SEC, and he was the coach of the year in the league, and of course Bruce Pearl did a terrific job. Tennessee's one of those teams with depth, toughness, size. Could be very dangerous once they get into the tournament. Former coach at Texas, who took the Longhorns to 16 NCAA tournaments in 17 years on the 40 acres.
4th team foul on K-State as Mayween picks up his second. That's a good hat.
Those guys are in the same spot every year.
He's going to take that TCU front off later on as Kenrich Williams cuts to the goal, and that extends the TCU lead back up to 6.
Yeah, right now, Bob, Robinson and Williams have all 23 points in the second half for TCU. Their teammates are 0 for 4.
Wainwright. Long rebounds. Walled off Desmond Bain.
Remember, this TCU team has a 20 RPI. So this is a game that will certainly help their seeding if they can get a win.
Robinson through traffic walked, though, before he was bumped.
And he would disagree with you. He thought he got bumped before he traveled, and so does Jamie Dixon. Let's take a look. I thought he shuffled his feet. I think he traveled right before there was contact.
Harry Brown still stuck on only one field goal. Goes to the bucket again here and banks it in right on cue. Dean Wade with only 3 second-half points. Add all that up, top 2 scorers for K-State, 2 of the top 4 scorers in Big 12 play, and yet they're only down by 4.
And it feels like TCU's up 14, and that's not the case.
Robinson to Brodzianski. Taken away by Jada. He gives it up. Sneed hit the underside of the rim, fouled by Bain.
Barry Brown has had some big second halves this season. And that would be a good sign for Bruce Weber if he can start to get going.
Now, Xavier Sneed came into today as a 79% free throw shooter. And he is only 1 of 4 at the line. The reverse announcer jinx. See how I did that?
You know, the announcer...
Talk about his struggles, and he knocks it down.
The announcer jinx works 30% of the time. You know how I figured that out?
I'd love to know.
The average free throw shooter in college basketball makes 70% of his free throws.
You're no fun.
See? That's how I look at it. Give you the analytics, Bob.
Yeah.
Even on the announcer jinx.
And a true believer in the analytics. 2-point game.
They've done a good job on Brodzianski inside. Credit Mayween.
Brodzianski, the entry pass stolen by Mayween.
Too much helium.
Trying to tie or take the lead. Brown lost it. Robinson with the steal. Walls off Jada. Can't finish. Cartier Jada the other way.
Little too tricky that time. Tried to put Jada in jail. Didn't lock him up and throw away the key.
Jada. Yes! We are tied. Timeout called by Jamie Dixon.
Watch the athleticism. Cartier Jara stepped into the starting lineup for Cam Stokes after his foot injury. And the redshirt freshman, for the most part, has been really good for the Wildcats in the second half of the season. Young man out of Harlem, New York. Mom got him out of the mean streets, got him down to South Carolina, came under the tutelage of a guy named Sharon Wright, who was an outstanding player, Holly Rowe.
Well, that's right. I actually checked in with Sharon Wright this week. He's not able to come here because he's got 2 other kids who are playing Division I basketball. But he said, I'm so proud of this young man because he's taken all of my advice and really forged a path for himself. His mom made a difficult decision to send him down to South Carolina when he started getting into a little trouble in New York. And he said, you know, it was hard. I was living by myself, having to be on my own. But the guidance of Sharon Wright, who he calls like a father figure to him, has really taught him that he has what it takes if he puts his head down and works hard. And Wright was a good player in the NBA and has shown him the way.
Well, he got the game tied at 53 as Robinson swings one to the corner. Noy throws it into the backcourt, run down by Brown. Brown throws it down. It was a 9-point lead for TCU. That's gone. Kansas State takes the lead.
Last 10 minutes, the Wildcat defense has been suffocating, and we haven't heard much from the big fella, Brodzianski.
Henrich Williams across the lane. Doesn't get the roll. Out of bounds to K-State.
Sloppy play by TCU in the half court, Bob. Some turnovers, and watch this. Barry Brown coming into your living room.
7 points now for Barry Brown. Quatnoy out, J.D. Miller back in for TCU. Seven to shoot. Jada goes to the goal. Comes up short. Didn't hit the rim. At least it didn't look like it did. The shot clock reset. Ends up with Kenrich Williams anyway.
There was a lot of contact on that drive. I thought Jara got fouled. Officials had a good view. They didn't think so.
Brodzianski foul. Reach in by Jada. Brodzianski to shoot free throws when we come back to try and tie it with 3:15 to go.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball, and Ally. Do it right.
Chris, thanks very much. Taking the latest bracketology with Joe Lenardi by conference. These are not percentages, of course. These are just the number of teams. 8 out of the Big 12's 10 teams right now forecasted to be in the NCAA tournament, according to Joey Brackets. And if Oklahoma State were to upset Kansas in the next game of our quarterfinals here in Kansas City, they would be projected to be the 9th out of 10 Big 12 teams to be in the field.
Right. You just hope they don't cannibalize somebody else from the conference. But certainly Oklahoma State's resume continues to grow.
That foul before we went to break was called on the floor. Here's Bain, who still does not have a field goal. And he's an outstanding three-point shooter. Scoreless so far today. Shot clock down to 7. Robinson picks up his dribble. Can't connect. Wade's got the rebound. And K-State's got the lead.
Yeah, the K-State defense has started to suffocate TCU's half-court offense. That time, really good defense by Barry Brown on Robinson.
Sneed. Short. Brodzianski tips it to Bain. Down the lane goes Noy, stripped away, but a foul call. Sneed thought he got all ball.
Bob, let's go back to that last time out. Watch Barry Brown coach Cartier Jara about a play on the court. He takes him out on the court and says, hey, here's where we need you to be. The reason that's so important was there was a game on January 6th when they lost Cam Stokes to the broken foot. The team got back from Texas Tech and Lubbock. Bruce Weber gave the team off on that Sunday. Barry Brown called a team practice. He coached the team along with some of the veterans. And that's what you call player-centered leadership. It can't always come from the coaching staff. You have to have leadership inside your team group.
That's the first point for TCU in nearly 5.5 minutes. And they're still only down by 1.
Wasn't it just a couple minutes ago we said Kansas State's only down by 4? But that's the game we expected. This looks like, as you said earlier, an inter-squad scrimmage.
Ten to shoot. 5 seconds for Barry Brown. Drives it. A little too strong. Here comes Alex Robinson ahead to Bain. Bain's going to go at Wade. Blocked by Mayween. Jada accelerates. Got caught in midair. Mayween bails him out. Then runs a man over. Blocking foul call. Bain takes contact, but gets called for the block.
Well, we haven't mentioned this young man today, Mayween. Take a look, watch him come into your picture. Terrific hustle play. Watch him go get that basketball. He started every game this year. This young man signed and played at Utah where he redshirted. He went to the same junior college as Kenrich Williams and Sean Olden. And Bob, he's one of those guys that, for Bruce Weber, quietly just mans the low post on both ends of the floor. Not really an offensive player yet, but you love his energy.
That blocking foul on Bain, by the way, his 4th. He still hasn't scored. Averages 13 a game. And here's Mayween at the line. 75% free throw shooter.
He's one of those rare junior college kids who's only a sophomore because he redshirted. So he's going to have 2 more valuable years for Bruce Weber.
Mayween in double figures for the 8th time this season. Kansas State is 7-0 in all 7 of the previous games where he hit double figures.
Snead's done a really good job with that 6'6" length on Robinson.
Robinson drives it at him, and he'll have a chance to go to the line to tie it up.
Watch A-Rob, he takes it right to Snead's body, and he needs to use the body because he's got to throw off that 6'6" length. And you see Snead doesn't even have the ability to leave his feet. Good drive by A-Rob.
Finished the three-point play, and nearly fumbling it out of bounds was Mayween.
Both teams in the bonus. Possession arrow belongs to TCU.
Timeout.
Timeout, Kansas State.
Just the start of the day in the Big 12 quarterfinals. Exactly the game that we expected. Big game for both of these teams in terms of seeding. Also, they want to win this championship. All right, Kansas State, 12 on the shot clock. What do you expect?
I think Barry Brown's got to have the ball and he's got to drive. We're still in a possession game. In other words, TCU needs to do nothing tricky except get a stop and the defensive rebound. In this situation throughout the season, even though Dean Wade has been a key part of the offense, it's been Barry Brown with the ball in his hands driving, and then you just see him continue to coach and lead his teammates in that huddle. But we talked about the slow start he had, Bob, 0 for 3. But if you know Barry Brown this season, he loves this time of the game. Down the stretch is when he's been big for the Wildcats all season long.
He is a non-factor in the first half offensively, but all 7 of his points in the second half, they've been impactful as he finally got on the board. And for TCU in the second half, it's been all Alex Robinson and Kenrich Williams. Sports Center after Cavs Nuggets tonight on ESPN with Stan and Neal. The Red Hot Rockets made it 17 straight. They'll be breaking down that impressive win streak, plus reaction from LeBron. And the Cavs, tonight's Bubble Watch includes Notre Dame. Certainly Sports Center at 1 Eastern, 10 Pacific on ESPN and the ESPN app with Jay Billis chiming in. There'll be a lot to catch you up on.
Desmond Bain on Barry Brown. Brown will get it.
10 on the shot clock.
1 minute remaining.
Jada drives it, gives it up. Mayween denied at the rim. Score the goal. They'll call it basket interference on TCU.
J.D. Miller met Mayween at the rim. And let's see, did he go through the rim? Yep, he interfered with it. Good call. Did not touch the netting or the rim surface.
Still a 1-possession game, 52 seconds to go. Kenrich Williams, step back 2. Doesn't get the roll. About a 7-second differential between shot clock and game clock, so TCU doesn't have to foul.
It's a lot of time. I always like to foul and stretch the game out, because you not only have to get a stop now, you got to get the defensive rebound and you have to hit a 3.
7 on the shot clock. Brown sizing up Brodzianski. 5 seconds to go in the game.
Need a 3.
Would you foul? Bain for 3. Got it at the buzzer! His first field goal. Looks like it's going to send us to overtime.
The hardest thing for a team to do in transition is to foul off a missed free throw. It's not something you practice very often. You can talk all you want about we'll foul the shooter, but in the flow of a miss.
Did he get it off?
Let's watch.
Oh, that is as close as it can be, but it looks like it is just off his fingertips as the light turns on and the clock goes to 0. Wow. Welcome to the Big 12.
Absolutely. The rule here with the shot clock is go to the clock first, then the light, then the horn. I think they've got a good look at the zeros, and they'll be able to use the clock.
It looked like Rick Crawford, when he came away from the monitor, if I'm reading lips, said it's good. I'm not sure why they haven't given an official signal yet, if they have, but called it good on the floor. I think the guy on the right is going with good.
But I think Jerry Pollard was going to give it a second opinion. It's good.
So we're heading to overtime, brought to you by 5 Hour Energy, after we take a very quick break for 30 seconds before we come back. Overtime, TCU and K-State. And brought to you by 5 Hour Energy, as we're set to go between TCU and K-State. Of course, you get that age-old argument. When you've got to shoot a 3, do you foul? How hard, though, is it, without getting your team in the huddle, to have them go out and realize that?
Exactly. This is off a missed free throw, and you're not even sure who you're guarding at the end. So you don't want to foul intentionally, and you don't want you just go with the flow of the game, and it's something that's just not practiced as often as off a dead ball.
Let's go to Holly.
Well, as you can imagine, the TCU huddle was energized. The guys were sky high. Jamie Dixon came into the huddle and said, guys, we must own this overtime. And then he challenged his big man. 6'11", Vlad Brodzianski has not scored in the second half after playing great in the first half with 10 points. He has to get going if TCU is to win.
And I think Bob and Holly, with both teams in the bonus, when TCU gets the ball back, they should go into the big guy. But Mayween has done a great job of fronting in the second half.
Robinson to Brodzianski. Draws the foul. Unless I'm mistaken, Kwat Noi hit a free throw. Before the Bain 3, that was the only point scored by anyone for TCU other than Kenrich Williams and Alex Robinson. They were the offense for the entire second half. And you can see Brodzianski a goose egg in the second half.
Well, you got to credit Mayween and that Kansas State defense, because he became a point of emphasis, and it actually allowed Robinson and Williams to get going a little bit. But even that possession took a whole 25, 26 seconds just to get the ball into the big fella.
Only 1 of 2 at the line. How about Desmond Bain, the #1 percentage-wise three-point shooter in the Big 12, and that's who they were able to get the ball to force overtime.
How about Desmond Bain a year ago in this game? Made the 3 free throws, right, to beat Kansas.
He's out there with 4 fouls. That's something to keep an eye on during overtime. Three on the shot clock. Snead fades away. Yes. Brodzianski goes to the line again.
Now they are listening to their coach, because the first 2 possessions of overtime, the big guy from Slovakia has gotten the ball inside.
And McCall Mayween has been good today. That's his 4th. So there's another player in big-time foul trouble to keep our eyes on.
And we'll see if Jamie Dixon, his coaching staff, and the players recognize that, because what you have to do, Bob, when somebody has 4 fouls and just committed 1, continue to go to the well and feed the big guy.
Snead from the corner. In and out. What a terrific way to start off the day. Overtime between TCU and Kansas State. Oklahoma State and Kansas coming up next. Brown fouled on the drive. And if that's on Bain, that's his 5th. It is Bain. So the best, at least percentage-wise, three-point shooter in the Big 12. And the guy that just tied it up at the buzzer is done.
Jamie Dixon's got some options here. He's going to go with Sean Olden, junior college transfer, good energy, good open shooter. I'm not sure if Jamie Dixon has ever been ejected from a game until this season. He was ejected in this game out in Manhattan, Kansas. And the game in Fort Worth just a week ago was also a low possession, close game. So this is very indicative of the 2 teams that we'd see in the 4-5 game.
Quadnoy back for J.D. Miller for TCU. Robinson just off the mark.
It's been the freshman Cartier Jara down the stretch for Bruce Weber at the point. A lot of confidence in this young man.
Brown through traffic, lost it, and it's out of bounds. 12 to shoot. It'll stay with K-State.
Now you're going to see Brown catch the ball now, and Mayween and Wade will set a double high ball screen if this ball comes in cleanly. Now I'm not going to be able to do it.
10 to shoot. Wade faces up on Kenrich Williams, goes to work. Kenrich Williams strips it away.
Second time today, he's poked it loose from Wade. Excellent defender, Kenrich Williams, among all the other things he does well.
We have been tied 12 times. We have had 14 lead changes. And you'd have to think a few more of each might be coming in the last 2:17 of overtime. So for TCU, without Brodzianski being a big factor in the second half, it's been Kenrich Williams and Alex Robinson. Where are they going for their offense?
They're going to have the ball in Alex Robinson's hands, and he has been very good at making plays. They'll probably run some motion to get the ball back to him at the top of the key. High pick and roll, and then what we've said all game, he slows the game down, and he usually makes a good decision. The thing that interests me in this game is that it's going to come down again to one or two plays. They've been close since the start, and now it's about nothing fancy, vanilla defense, and just run your offense, hope for good shots.
Now the winner of this game moves on to our second quarterfinal of the day between Oklahoma State and Kansas. Holly's got more.
Well, if you hadn't heard, Udoka Azubuike for Kansas, their 7-footer who's averaging 13.7 rebounds a game, is out for the next game against Oklahoma State. In his place, Mitch Lightfoot will get the start. The starting lineups have been turned in for Kansas. Lightfoot averaged 13 minutes a game, just 3 points, 2 rebounds. So that is going to have to be a much better guard rebounding lineup for Kansas. Devontae Graham told me yesterday, we know with Udoka out, the guards will have to make up that rebounding difference. So big news for Kansas. Oklahoma State beat them twice this year. We'll see if they can withstand that injury.
And I think, Holly, a big bonus for Kansas is they're going to get Silvio De Souza some needed playing time going into the NCAA tournament. He played over 10 minutes on Saturday against Oklahoma State. Actually played well. Silvio De Souza is the kid from Angola who was in prep school, who enrolled in Kansas for the spring semester. He's had moments of brilliance, but pretty much just been a role player.
Robinson with a great scoop, but it rolls off the rim. And then it looks like Kwak Noi will be called for the foul. That's the third on Noi.
You just watch Barry Brown out there. That time huddle his teammates up. And, we get a chance covering the Big 12, Bob, to watch these players grow up over time. Barry Brown is coming into his own as a junior, not only as a scorer and an excellent defender, but a guy that the players listen to. Trust me when I tell you, the coach's voice gets tuned out after a while. So to have somebody spouting the same type of coaching acumen from a player hits home with these guys.
1 of 2 at the line for the sophomore, or rather the redshirt freshman, Cartier Jada. Coming up on 2 minutes to go. 2-point game. Robinson drives, too strong.
TCU just needs to be solid here.
Shot clock winding down for Barry Brown. He drives it. Comes up short. Kenrich Williams has the rebound. Williams on the baseline. Leans in. Draws the foul. So Kenrich Williams with a chance to tie it in overtime with just over a minute to go. Stockard called for his third.
One of the adjustments that Jamie Dixon made after Jalen Fisher went out is he allows Kenrich Williams to grab rebounds and play point guard in transition. And he's very comfortable with Williams with the ball, and that's why Williams was able to take that ball to the basket from the corner.
19 points, 10 rebounds for Kenrich Williams. 34 career double-doubles now at TCU. And this is his 13th this season. Tied with a minute to go. Kenrich Williams playing center field. Intercepts the pass intended for Snead.
Oh, bad decision by Jara. They tried to go lob there. Just not a good read by the freshman.
Now Jamie Dixon down to one timeout remaining, as he'll use one here to get something set up with 45 seconds to go. How'd we get to overtime? Well, it was a fingernail just off the ball at the buzzer as Barry Brown was able to go coast to coast. Alex Robinson had a big three-point play, would miss that free throw though, which still had TCU behind, closing seconds, and they got it to Desmond Bain.
He does what Desmond Bain does, and that's knock down threes. And he got it off by a fingertip. Good thing he went for a manicure yesterday, Bob. Or we might already be starting the second game of the afternoon.
Yeah, we have to tell Oklahoma State and Kansas they might have to wait a little longer. No matter how long it takes us to finish K-State and TCU, we will have a 30-minute break before Oklahoma State and Kansas play quarterfinal number 2. A great day of 4 games here in Kansas City at the Big 12 Championship.
Isn't this game indicative of what we've seen all season long in the Big 12? 9 teams out of 10 over 500 overall, and all 9 with a legitimate chance to go dancing Sunday night. Again, Jamie Dixon really comfortable with the ball in Alex Robinson's hands. Kenrich Williams also can play make off the dribble.
All 5 TCU points in overtime have come at the line. They don't have a field goal yet, and they've got the game tied. Brodzianski can't get his hands on the basketball as Mayween knocks it out with 14 to shoot.
Exactly, Bob. And even though Mayween didn't get the steal, the deflection out of bounds now forces Jamie Dixon, I think, to call another timeout because he blew up the play that was originally designed to go inside to Brodzianski.
So they have to start all over again, and now out of timeouts.
That's why deflections are such an important part of defense. Even if you don't steal, you disrupt the offense.
Let's take a look at how the bracket shapes up in the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship. Next up, Kansas, Oklahoma State. So these 2 early games will determine one of tomorrow's semifinal matchups. Then Texas Tech and Texas at 7 Eastern tonight. At 9 Eastern, it'll be West Virginia and Baylor. And now they're at the monitor, and they may be checking whether or not the ball grazed the fingertips of Brodzianski after it was touched by Mayween. Is it possible this would go over to Kansas State?
That angle.
Boy, almost impossible to tell.
Yeah, that pinky almost looks like it hits the ball. Let's take another look at this right here.
It almost looks like his right ring finger might just barely graze the ball right there.
To me, that's too close to overturn. We have great cameramen on those 2 shots. But that might be too close to overturn. Normally when you see that deflection, you see the rotation of the ball change a little bit. But because it was so minute, the touch by one of those fingers, I don't think the ball reacted in any major way. Of course, they're using the DV Sports unit, which has a lot of different angles on there.
They want a third opinion.
Basically, Jerry Pollard said, I'm not making this decision on my own.
Is this an example, though, of replay going to some place we never intended it to go? You're freeze framing it this close at the end of a game. I get that it's a very important call.
Yeah, it's a tournament. Last year, the Big 12 had the quickest monitor review among the power conferences. It was a slightly over a minute. This is a case right here where you have to make sure you get this right if it's conclusive, and they did change it.
They changed it. So now Jamie Dixon, who spent this entire time out mapping up an offensive play, now has to be told it's not your basketball anymore.
If they are absolutely sure that they got that call right, that's why you go to the monitor right there.
Now 4.5 second differential between the shot clock and game clock. Now it goes to K-State.
And if it's me, you treat it like an end of clock situation. What does that mean? You don't want to put this ball up on the rim. You don't want to start to go until there's about 25 on the 5 on the shot clock. Let's see if he needs a screen or he's just going to go naked. Here comes the screen.
10 to shoot. Brown off balance. Plus the foul.
That's what we call a run-out ball screen, because at the last second, Mayween ran out and set a legal screen. And Mayween's already gone now, but there's the contact and the finish. They waited until the last moment to run up and ball screen. And this is when Barry Brown shines.
Now, if you're Bruce Weber, would you call a timeout and tell your team, if he makes this free throw, this time we're fouling?
Well, potentially, but you want to set up a foul situation, to me, 7 or less, and not sooner.
Can't hit it.
Won't matter.
Moot point. 10 seconds to go. 2-point game. Robinson down the lane. Robinson met by Mayween, but a foul called. That will foul out Mayween. That will put Robinson at the line, and he'll have a chance to tie it and maybe force 2 overtimes.
Now, this is what Alex Robinson does. We told you he plays at great pace. And he understands that he's got to get that ball to the rim without a timeout.
Not the best free throw shooter.
No, he's not. 60%.
Now a timeout was called as one of the free throws went up.
They put the ball in play before they substituted for the fouled out defender. So Alex Robinson got a practice free throw.
Mayween was still on the floor. He had fouled out. And Rick Crawford, the official out near midcourt, was like, wait a minute, we were not ready for that free throw yet. Now we're going to officially shoot 2.
Well, the officials have to pay better attention than that, because they put the ball in play. And this is a freebie.
Doesn't get it. So now you have to miss on purpose. If you're TCU, and a timeout will be called, looks like by Bruce Weber. He's the only coach with a timeout left. How do you draw up the intentional miss free throw play? Because that's what Jamie Dixon's got to craft here.
Exactly. Well, here's what you got now. First of all, you have to miss the free throw. Watch the miss. Now freeze the guys for me and back it up to when he has the ball, if you don't mind. Because what's going to happen now is on the miss, I would cross the 2 guys inside. These two big guys just cross inside, screen for each other. These guys cannot leave until the ball hits the rim from outside. But Alex Robinson, I would want him to softly miss it to the right or left. But watch Brodzianski inside with J.D. Miller. They're going to what we call X inside. Now it's Kenrich Williams, because he's quicker and more athletic. So keep your eye on the 2 big guys inside. But Alex Robinson, I've seen this happen. He cannot make this shot. He must miss it. K-State knows it.
That'll do it. He missed it, but the funky bounce off the rim, tracked down by Snead. And Kansas State comes from 9 down in the second half, and they survive in overtime against TCU. It'll be K-State, the first team to advance to the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship semifinals tomorrow. What a great game.
Bob, you said it before the game. These 4-5 game, these teams had a lot in common. They played 2 close games, and we couldn't ask for anything more. They're both going to the tournament. And for Kansas State, they get a chance to advance.
Let's head over to Holly.
Well, Barry, about 13 minutes left to play in the second half. Your team showed some fight after Xavier Snead's and won. When did you start to fight, in your opinion?
I thought we started to fight at that time. They had a little bit more momentum, and it was tough. The crowd got going a little bit for them, and we got in the huddle, just kept saying, weather the storm, stop, score. And I felt like after that, everything started going for us.
How deflating was it to see Baines' 3 go in and tie the game and then have to reset that emotion for overtime?
It was a big-time shot, man. We got in the huddle and we were just like, we got another 5 minutes, we got to fight. We do it all the time in practice, so it was nothing that we weren't prepared for. And credit to our guys for coming out that next 5 minutes and fighting and getting the win.
How much have you looked at your bracket moving ahead with the injury to Udoka Azubuike that it's kind of wide open now for the taking on your side of the bracket? What are you looking at?
I really haven't looked too much ahead of it because we had a tough team just now, TCU, but we got to see the winner out of Kansas and Oklahoma State to see where we're at.
All right, thanks, Barry.
All right, no problem.
So Barry Brown, the hero. K-State moves on. Will it be Kansas and the Player of the Year, Devontae Graham, or the Oklahoma State Cowboys to meet them tomorrow night in the semifinals of the Big 12 Championship? The and one game winner for Barry Brown. 66-64 K-State in overtime. For Fran Fraschilla and Holly Rowe, I'm Bob Wischusen. Back to Chris Cotter, the College Basketball Live Scoreboard.